guys, and welcome back to the Deep Threats. We are here after a wonderful trade deadline today. As it is being said, I know a lot of people aren't hyped about this trade this week, but we will always get into it. But just keep in mind, not everything can be as exciting as last year. Last year, some of the greatest trades happened probably in the history of the NFL during that trade deadline. And one of the most notable signings last year was Roquan Smith. And we have something close to that this year, but just not as big. That being said, as always, you have me, your host, KJAM, here on the show, and you have my wonderful co-host, Wheels.
Welcome. We have a All Hallows Eve special for you guys. We have, obviously, the trades to go over, and we're going to talk about that Monday night matchup and maybe a coach that's on the hot seat who may be gone or has already have one foot out the door already.
All right,
we'll
man.
update you guys on that.
Okay, as always, I guess we'll get into the heat of it, right? We have no new news. We have all the updated news that have happened in the last 4 to 6 hours with trades, and I'll give you this post right here. This is the current trades that have come out. This is the first half of them. I got another page. The New York Giants traded for, what was that, Leonard Williams to Seattle, and they've got a second and a fifth. What do you feel about that one?
Leonard Williams. I think they traded...
I love it considering they're playing the Ravens, right?
I like it, but if you go back to see, the Giants actually traded the Jets for Leonard Williams for, I believe, a third and a sixth when they traded for Leonard Williams a few years back.
So they got more for Leonard
later on
than what they got for. That's awesome for the Giants.
They actually got more in their investment, plus they have had some years out of them. And honestly, you don't know where Seattle's going to end at the end of the year. You don't.
They're in first place in their division.
Yeah, it could be a mid-second round pick, could be a late second round pick. So I think with that trade, it's a good trade all around. We've seen a lot of good guys go in the second round these last couple of drafts, so it's not like they really didn't get anything for Leonard Williams.
No, I love that
trade for the Giants. I think
I love it for Seattle too, because Seattle has needed to find out how to stop the run, and that defense has only gotten better and better. It's starting to look like what it used to look like. So it's kind of going to be enjoyable. You have youth on the secondary, and you got a lot of older guys up front, right?
Yeah.
So now if they can actually get older guys in the draft, in the third or fourth round, they can actually, or younger guys in the draft, they can slowly bring those guys in to learn under these older guys who are probably going to end their career in Seattle. So I love this trade.
I mean, and it's his last year, so he may come back. Some people were trying to say it was a cap move, but he wasn't making. I think he was making maybe $3 million this year. So you never know. He could come back and go back to the Giants. We've seen it before with some of these guys that have gotten traded in during the trade deadline. Go back to the team that have traded them. I mean, it's not uncommon to see it.
All right. Second trade, I can barely read that one, but you might be able to know what it is. That is the Philadelphia Eagles trade.
I got glasses on.
I know.
I'm blind
closer.
already. What do you think?
Atlanta trade. Who did Atlanta and Philly trade? Why do I not remember that one? Contavious Street? Sweet?
That trade doesn't matter. I don't even know who those guys are.
I got to get closer to the screen. Actually, I can see it on the right. What am I doing?
Hold on.
No, it's right there.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Contavious Street selection, and then a seventh?
Selection is seventh for selection choice.
So I thought that was that the sweat
conditional.
pick?
They're conditional. No, that's not Montez.
Oh no, that Montez Sweat's the next pick.
Okay. Kadarius Street. Kadarius Street, I think, is a defensive lineman.
It says D tackle. You know what? I don't know enough about him. I'm gonna have to look into this trade. It might be a sneaky trade by the Eagles. It's depth. It's obviously depth, right?
This wasn't a big.
It's obviously depth, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's not starting over Jordan Davis. He's not starting over anybody else on the defensive line.
Well, Jordan Davis has been injured off and on this year.
Yeah, off and on. So, but he's a filler guy. He's definitely a filler guy. So
Kadarius Street, defensive end.
That says D tackle.
Yeah, he did this. I'm trying to. He's young.
I mean, they traded
27, so I mean, he's not old.
So they swapped the 7th for the 6th and got. I saw a lot of these trades today, by the way, where they move up in the round, but they trade for a player. So these guys are weird. Well, let's get out of that one because, to me, honest, honestly, it doesn't hurt Atlanta. If anything, it bolsters an increased pick for them. And Philly doesn't need picks in the defense.
It's definitely a depth pick for them.
But the next one, right? Washington traded for Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears, and Chicago gave up a second-round pick, which is what they did for Chase Claypool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the ass in this end, and I don't understand this trade for Chicago. I really don't. They are you're what, the third worst team in the NFL right now? I mean,
I think the thought process is,
what are you trying to go for?
I think the thought process is here, and I think Chicago hasn't realized this until like they've watched other teams do this, is fix the defense, fix the trenches, then fix the offense.
But unless they for sure re-sign him, this is a wasted pick.
Oh, my assumption is it's definitely a re-sign. It's definitely a re-sign.
You have to, right?
Yeah. You don't trade a second without the intention of re-signing him because he's on his last year.
Yeah, that had to have been already implemented during the trade, because unless if they don't,
I don't think it's implemented. I definitely think that that's something they have to negotiate with Sweat for sure.
They have the money. I mean, outside of, I think they're paying obviously Eddie Jackson.
Well, you know what's funny?
And they don't have Roquan anymore, so I know they're not really paying many people on the defense.
How about this? Let's compare that same team, right? Who me and you might argue that has higher ceiling, but may not be the same capabilities. Because Montez Sweat, right?
Yeah.
Just went for a second. Chase Young just went to the 49ers for a third.
So Chase, I don't think they're not going to be able to re-sign Chase Young.
You don't think the 49ers will re-sign Chase?
I don't think they have the money to re-sign Chase.
I don't think Chase has any pull or sway because he hasn't been healthy.
He'll get paid. Somebody will pay for him.
Okay, so
he's young enough.
You think this is a lease pick?
Oh, 100%. This is another depth piece that'll work out. These trades, the Niners always find a way to swindle somebody. Last year it was the Panthers. Well, the Panthers got swindled twice, but last year it was the Panthers. This year, I don't want to say swindled for the Commanders, but I'm comfortable with the third-round pick for the Commanders. I mean, it's going to be a late one, obviously. I would like to see them get a third and a fourth, or a third and a fifth, maybe next year's fifth or next year's fourth, but that's
so you think both those trades are fairly equivalent in your mind, because one guy you think is going to be leased and the other guy you think is getting signed.
I'd rather have Sweat over Chase Young.
Okay. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. Sweat's produced.
He's a little bit older, but Chase Young has been injured and he has not looked great at times. He's struggling staying on the field. Yeah, he's struggling staying on the field. I don't think he is your star solid end.
All right, here's the groundbreaking trade. Technically, it would have been Chase Young. But the groundbreaking trade is Arizona traded Josh Dobbs, who's been performing fairly well for them out the year, and a seventh for a 6th-round pick to Minnesota. Okay. So Minnesota is filling Kirk Cousins' role with Josh Dobbs and Jaren Hall now. They already said Jaren Hall will start this week, so don't expect Josh Dobbs to come in and play week 1 for them, week 9.
Let's do it, and
go ahead. Tell me, because I know you're going to go over what Josh Dobbs was.
No, we'll read the second trade because.
Okay, so the second trade. Oh, the Minnesota trade.
Yeah, Minnesota.
So Minnesota traded Ezra Cleveland. Sorry,
you're fine.
For a 6th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they essentially took that 6th-round pick, and they got Josh Dobbs for a wash. I mean, really.
I don't understand that. So you trade for Josh Dobbs. You trade a 6th for Josh Dobbs.
But you got Josh Dobbs in the 7th.
And you got Josh Dobbs in the 7th. But then you trade away a guard who has been very solid for a 6th. It doesn't make much sense to me. It kind of is like, okay, you know what? We're not out on the year. We're second in the division. But then that trade with Jacksonville goes, okay, they're out on the year. So you're butting heads here. This trade.
I don't know if trading an offensive lineman means you're out on the year. Ezra's had some issues with staying on the field,
but he's
very solid. I'm not going to disagree with that.
What do all teams always need?
So trenches first.
Yeah, trenches and secondary. You always need depth in those two positions because those two positions always get injured.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Now you're relying on Dalton Risner, who you picked up, I believe, in free agency. And he's been
filling in pretty decently though, especially in the last 2 games.
Risner's been
because I don't think Ezra's been playing. I don't think Ezra played last week.
No, Ezra. I don't think Ezra did play last.
Yeah,
week.
and it's because they were going to trade him.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, no one's really touched Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got injured on a fluke incident.
Yeah, it was a
It's the Arian Foster thing, man. Dude's probably a vegan. Just eat some meat, bro. Keep them tendons healthy.
I don't think he's vegan.
Keep them tendons healthy, man.
Looks like the implement of a steak and potatoes guy. Let's be honest.
All right, so I agree with you. I think this is kind of a wash pick.
I do like the Joshua Dobbs trade.
Because he's been consistent. He's been consistent.
This is technically his second team that he'll have played for in the season.
He's been on 5 teams in 2 years.
Yeah, this will be his.
Bet you
third
didn't know
team.
that number, did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
I was proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Pittsburgh,
Cleveland, Tennessee, Cleveland,
Arizona, Minnesota.
Yep, you got it. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I liked this kid when he played for Tennessee with the Volunteers.
I'm proud of you.
I liked him a lot, so I followed him. But again, so he has looked very solid. His numbers may not shown it, but he has 8 touchdowns, 5 receptions. So he's
dude's a rocket scientist, man. He knows what he's doing.
He has a PhD.
I know. That's the joke. You don't have to point out the joke every time I say it.
I'm sorry. He's like the smartest quarterback.
Jeez. Speaking of smart people, smartest man in the room today, traded Donovan Peoples-Jones for what he drafted Donovan Peoples-Jones.
A lot of Browns fans are mad. I like this trade.
I love this trade for the Lions.
And DPJ.
I don't give 2 shits about this trade for Cleveland.
No, I like this trade for DPJ because we both agree. You're gonna hate it, but Jameson Williams has struggled all year. Obviously, he came back a few weeks
AB
ago.
also likes to make receivers happy, so he sends them to a place where he thinks they're going to be utilized. Look at Odell. Look at Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I think this hurts Jameson Williams.
Look at Jarvis Landry. He's just like, if you don't want to be here, I'll cut you, or I'll just trade you for a 6th or a 7th.
Yeah, AB is I want to say AB is a player-friendly GM. Is that fair enough to say?
I would agree with that 100%. I would agree with that 100%.
He's a player-friendly. Unless even with the who did we have last year? Clowney. Even with that Clowney situation, he released him. You know what? That's fine. You do your own thing. That whole situation.
It should have been more of an asshole to Clowney.
Yeah, he should have been, but he wasn't. That just shows he's more of a player-friendly guy.
So here is probably mining your favorite trade in the in this deadline, and this is Raul Douglas going to the Buffalo Bills for a 3rd rounder. They gave up Raul and a 5th for a 3rd. I love this trade because Buffalo's been having issues with health at the secondary. Plus, their secondary is each of them's 30 years old, 31 years old. Was it Poyer and I can't remember the other dude's name.
Poyer and Micah Hyde.
Is it Micah Hyde's the other guy?
I think Micah Hyde was.
They're pretty on the older side.
And guess what? You have this year and next year for him. So
it was on a 2. Well, that's probably why they had to trade a 3rd.
Yeah. But
that's probably why.
I obviously so.
I like Raul Douglas. Green Bay fans like Raul Douglas. Yeah. I don't think Green Bay fans wanted this trade.
Sue Douglas is. I think this is a genius move by the Bills. Their secondary defense has struggled and they are getting older.
And they've been struggling with cap. So this helps him on cap next year,
too.
He's on a rookie contract, I think, still, right?
He's making $838,000, and he's making $9 million next year.
Okay, so it'll hurt him next year.
They'll find a
restructure, extend his contract, maybe 2-3 years.
They'll probably give him a 2-year extension.
And bonus up front.
28, so, Micah's, I think, 34. Or Poyer. One of them's a little bit older.
31, 32.
My biggest concern with the Bills long term is the age of the secondary. And this is kind of where you're like, you know what? We're getting a little bit younger for cheaper.
It's very Rams-esque.
It is.
I'll trade my picks for proven players.
Yeah, you have to.
It's very Rams-esque.
Yeah, this will be the first year the Rams actually have a first-round draft pick, I believe, in the last 4 years.
No, I don't know we can't talk. As a Browns fan, we won't have a first-round draft pick for at least 1 more year. And that's being said that they don't trade a first away tomorrow.
Yeah, funny enough, speaking of fans, last weekend, obviously I was at my dad's and I wore my Amon-Ra jersey, and my brothers all gave me crap for it. But as much as I love the Browns, the more I watch film on these kids coming from college, I'm more of a Players fan now. I obviously love my Browns.
I would say I'm a Browns fan at heart, but I'm
a
again
Players fan.
Right. So I'm I own everybody on the Colts, right? So I'm a huge Jonathan Taylor fan. I'm a huge Josh Downs fan. I even love every time Alec Pierce catches the ball because I invest things into them with Dynasty. So I want to see them succeed.
Exactly.
That's the argument.
With how much time we watch these kids in college, because we watch so much film. And it's hard. It's hard not to be romantic about football.
Film's an
It really
understatement, bro. Like, I sit here on Saturday mornings and I sit there and watch 12 hours worth of football. Then I go into Sundays and I watch another 12 hours worth of football.
And then you have to go through all the injury reports. You have to go through.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
All the updates and everything. So it's essentially, I mean,
I won't say kudos to the guys that do it for a living because they get paid.
I wish.
We're doing it for fun.
We're trying to get there. I would love.
But we're doing it for fun and entertainment. It's something we really enjoy doing. But it's just like, I'm not going to give 100% kudos to your Rappaports and shit like that because these guys get paid for it. It's what they do for a living. And it's only during 3 months out of the year that they get bombarded with information, and then it's calm for that time.
And I'm not putting any hate towards these guys, but like
no, I couldn't be on my phone the whole time. Garofalo,
I would lose
Garofalo, whatever the heck his name is.
But like I've been trying to get in contact with some players. I mean, I've been trying to get in contact with Kareem Hunt, another Browns player. I've been trying to get in contact with Carson Palmer's brother.
How much do you love that I was still accurate on the Kareem Hunt, and now I'm accurate on the Chase Young thing, and I was accurate on the Lenny thing. You said he's not going to the Bills, and I was like, okay.
I picked them up though. I did say.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know that, Leonard Fournette got signed to the Bills. If you paid attention to his Twitter account, he said on the 21st that he's looking forward to tell everybody he's signing in a week. So that's when I knew that he was actually signed because I looked at his Twitter account. And needless to say, there was only two teams, and I told you the two teams, and it was Buffalo or Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And Buffalo was the team, which is a lot of us think it's crazy, right? Because you got Latavius Murray, you got James Cook, but
I'm gonna be honest, I like it. I think James Cook and the Bills have a
falling out, maybe.
I think they've lost confidence in the kid, and it's nothing towards James Cook. I mean, I think he's
averaging almost 4.5 yards a carry in that offense.
Just, I don't think he's fitting the structure of the way that Sean McDermott wants to run the game, and he needs a guy that's going to catch it more. And I think he only has 12 or 15 receptions this year.
I think personally
that's where Lenny strives.
I think what Sean McDermott wants is a guy who can rely on his running back when need be. James Cook is more of a repetition guy.
Yeah, he gains as he goes.
Yeah, because he runs the defense ragged essentially.
Exactly.
Whereas
he finds those
Leonard
holes.
Fournette is just he's good at reading the defense, so he's going to get you your average 4 or 5 yards whenever you get him the ball.
And then you can have him go out wide. Go on a vert. He'll catch the ball.
He definitely is a better receiver,
yards.
I think, personally.
Yeah,
he can run in the slot. I don't think I've seen James Cook do that much this year.
No, and Leonard Fournette, a lot of people were questioning why he wasn't, interview or trying out for some teams and visiting. So Leonard Fournette was very smart with his money his entire football career. He saved up, he invested, he did not waste it. So he has that ability to pick and choose what team he wants to go to. And obviously the Bills fit his, where he wanted all the checklists. And that's where he decided to go. And we we talked about Cincinnati. So I don't know if it was more of because I'm not exactly sure what he signed for money because it wasn't a big contract. But again, a lot of these football players are becoming more smart with money and investing it, whether it's crypto or stocks or getting into some type of business. I mean, you saw Myles Garrett. He now is a minority owner with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is huge for a football player who is currently playing, and I want to say is at the top of his game and signed a huge contract, which I think he will sign another big contract before the end of his career. But it just shows that these guys aren't always out and, partying and just wasting the money. Obviously, you're going to have those guys.
Well, and Myles is a guy where I think he's been through some circumstances in his career where I think he's grown up pretty fast.
Oh, yeah. You always have those guys, especially
with the Mason Rudolph incident and then the car accident, which kept him out for, I think, 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that I think he's learned the harder way. But there are guys, and most of them are offensive linemen who you don't hear get in trouble because they don't get paid the same way, except for your left tackles.
They're not the home run positions like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I mean, you don't hear a D tackle. I mean, again, a lot of these guys, obviously those guys give back to their community, but again, a lot of these offensive, defensive lineman guys and secondary guys always give back. That's kind of what's not really covered in the news is how often these players give back. Speaking
of players that give back, Deron Bland, that mother effer, man. Another pick six? Is it 3 on the year?
I think it's 3 on the year.
3 on the year? Oh my goodness.
Speaking of peak,
That is for all you guys out there that
sixes,
don't know, that is the cornerback who is stepping up in the wake of Trayvon Diggs' absence, and let me tell you, he's stepping up.
He's filling those shoes almost 100%.
Very,
pretty much
well.
100%. He has
Very well. So for all of you that might not have thought the Dallas defense would still show up for your fantasy teams, they're there.
I didn't think so. I don't have him in fantasy, but I thought it was going to be a very bad year for their defense because Trayvon Diggs he's your big playmaker that'll beat the route, jump the route, get the ball, go for a pick six.
Well, and I told you that wouldn't be so much of an issue because you still have Micah, and Micah puts so much pressure on the quarterback that it caused them to get the ball out quick. So even bad corners look good against good wide receivers.
And you can still drop Micah back in coverage too. He's not bad
because he's a linebacker.
Yeah. He's not a defensive end. He's a linebacker. I'm happy we agree on that.
Same as another player that I constantly rag on consistently.
JOK?
No, TJ Watt.
Yeah, TJ.
He's an outside linebacker.
Yeah,
he can play inside and he can play defensive end. He's an outside linebacker. Myles Garrett is a defensive end. He cannot play outside linebacker.
No, he can't. He's not good in coverage.
I'm not asking Myles to come off the line.
But also, what do you see? Linebackers are also injured more of the time, more often than not.
Correct.
Versus defensive ends.
Correct, which is why I think Myles has played, more games than TJ Watt, and he's reached the sack.
Yeah, and
by the way, for all you TJ Watt lovers, Myles Garrett hit 81 sacks before 28 years of age before TJ Watt ever did.
And TJ Watt's almost 30. I think he'll be 30 at the end of the year. So,
boom! Here goes the boom! Ready or not?
I think TJ
Here comes the Miles from the South.
I think TJ Watt was a 4-year player at Wisconsin.
Was he in college that long?
I believe so.
That's a long time.
Because I think he was.
That is
drafted.
a long time, especially for a guy like TJ. No way. There's no way TJ Watt was a 4-year player. Not after JJ. No way. No way. I'll give him 2.5 tops.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 2. I thought it was a 4-year.
He's got 2.5 tops.
Maybe I'm thinking of the brother Derek Watt. That's who I might be thinking of.
Derek, the fullback?
Yeah,
that's possible. That's possible. I don't see him actually getting any snaps or like that in the NFL until he had 4 years in college.
But that funny enough that you go linebacker, that's where the Pittsburgh fans always say, oh, well, he's a linebacker. He's not a defensive end, so he doesn't get the sacks. But that's where they're like.
So do you have any notable signings that just happened recently, too?
No. Obviously, the only notable signing that I have is Leonard Fournette.
I didn't. There's a few. I know. The Jets signed a bunch of D linemen.
They're just trying to get depth because they're. I think they lost 5 or 6 guys.
I think the Steelers signed a cornerback.
Yeah, well, Joey Porter Jr. is quarterback one, defensive back one for that team. Now he took over.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin said that he believes that Joey Porter Jr. has excelled and he has shown...
Oh, you mean your first-round draft pick should have been on the field since day one?
I mean,
both of them?
Technically, he was a second-round draft pick.
32 overall?
Second round.
32 overall?
He's getting paid second-round money.
Yeah, talk about luck for the Steelers on that one, bro. Oh, my God. But you only have him for 4. You only have him for 3 plus 1. You no fifth-year option for Porter.
So that's what I want to kind of compare with the Montez Sweat contract. Or the trade is because essentially you're trading almost the same exact pick over again for Sweat. And what happens if he doesn't produce even when you trade him? Then you're in, let's say the Washington drafts some crazy defensive end.
First things first, Washington doesn't normally trade away picks. They trade away players. If you look at their consistency in the past few years, they've always had their picks plus other teams. They don't trade away their own picks.
I think that whole team is going to be going into a rebuild, including the front office and coaching staff.
I wouldn't be shocked if they find a way to get the first-round pick.
No, you need to get Caleb. Or you need to get a quarterback. I would like them to get Penix, personally. That's who I would love to go to that team, would be Penix.
I mean, Caleb might fit that system.
I don't like Caleb there. I was high on Caleb.
You need to figure out your front office before you figure it. Ron Rivera and Bieniemy might not be the guys, and I like Bieniemy. That offense is still producing.
I think Bieniemy is going to be the head coach.
You think he's going to move up?
He doesn't want a head coaching job, though. He has been offered them, and he does.
I don't know if he's been offered them. I don't think he was offered them.
Let me retract that. I don't know if he's been offered them or if he just doesn't want them. I don't know either of that. But judging by the way he moved from the Chiefs to the Washington Commanders, it seems like to me he doesn't want a head coaching job because he knows it comes with a whole bunch of scrutiny that, he always had. I'm not saying that he's not going to have to answer to, but he's comfortable at the position he's currently at, and at offensive coordinator.
All right. So no notable signings outside of what we just said.
Yep.
That we can think of.
Injuries, obviously.
You had the Seattle notable signing. Not only did they do that trade, I thought they signed whatchamacallit, who played against the Browns.
You want to do some injuries? Obviously, Kirk Cousins done for the year, torn Achilles.
Well, yeah. So I guess we could do that because we didn't have a Monday show. So go ahead.
Jacoby Myers tore his ACL. He's done for the year, which is brutal. He has had his best start.
Jacoby Myers tore his ACL last night?
Jacoby Myers is done. Oh, no,
Kendrick Bourne.
Not Jacoby Myers. I'm sorry.
Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne.
I was going to say, bro, holy cow.
I have both of them on my
Kendrick Bourne tore his ACL against it, Miami?
Miami. No.
Yeah,
against Miami.
Yeah.
So that is awful because that was the best start, I believe, of his career up to this point.
It was killing it, bro. He was killing it.
I mean, he was. He was killing it.
Literally.
So bad as ACL.
Literally. He was killing it. Kendrick Bourne tore his ACL. You had Kirk Cousins, who tore his Achilles. You have Kenny Pickett, who will be starting Thursday against the Tennessee Titans. So keep that in mind. That game is this Thursday for all you guys out there who are watching. Mitch isn't starting the game, but he might end up coming in if Kenny Pickett's taken too much of a rib injury. You have Clayton Tune, your boy.
He'll be starting.
He'll be starting for the Arizona Cardinals because of the trade of Josh Dobbs.
I think he'll be starting for 1 week.
I feel bad for Clayton Tune. He has to go against the Cleveland Browns defense.
We don't know if we're going to win.
I don't care if we don't win. My issue is you're putting a rookie against the top 2 defense.
I mean,
doing that destroys the. Look at Justin Fields did last year.
We saw what happened with that with DTR.
Justin Fields went against the Patriots, the Steelers, and the Browns, and he got sacked like 8 times each game. That poor kid, man, was running for his life.
Speaking of good rookies and the Patriots, is Tua Tagovailoa is 6-0 against the Patriots in his career.
That used to never happen with Belichick.
Bill Belichick used to own rookie
Belichick's still going to start Mac Jones. That's not going to change.
So you're starting Mac Jones until either A, you cut him or trade him because they have too much invested in him.
There are rumors that Jimmy G might be benched this week.
I think you have to. But I don't.
You're paying him 3 years, $80 million.
I don't think Jimmy G's the problem. I think it's Josh McDaniels. I think that coaching staff is part of the problem.
I would argue it's both.
I said part.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G could not. Don't get me wrong.
Jimmy G couldn't throw it more than 15.
Devontae Adams did struggle in that game, but Jimmy G also didn't hit him on every target he should have hit him on.
That first drive, that red zone interception was awful. That was a bad interception for a veteran quarterback that should have been watching for that floating safety. I don't understand how you throw that ball
way further next time.
Way higher.
Yeah, not as short as you did.
Devontae Adams can go up and get it.
That is to the corner of the end zone, and he threw that to the middle of the end zone. The Rams, Matt Stafford, UCL sprain in the thumb means he can't grip the ball. This could be a 2 to 4 week injury.
He's done. I think
he's saying he's going to play.
I think he's done.
I agree.
For a few weeks.
I agree. It's a 2. I would, if I were the Rams, and I know they don't want to do. They don't have a running back. They don't have a quarterback.
I know, but you have a first round draft pick. You have Puka Nacua.
But they don't have a quarterback.
I know, but
they don't want a quarterback. They do not want to draft a quarterback at 1.
I'm not saying you draft the quarterback, but you can draft a defensive lineman.
I would like to know the last quarterback that the Rams drafted.
Well, he just had it in the last draft.
Jared Goff?
No. The guy who has substance abuse problems who went to Georgia.
Ryan's boy. My bad. Yeah, but that wasn't in the first round. That wasn't a first round.
The last first round draft pick was Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, right?
Yeah, and that was when they
took him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I love Jared Goff. You know, the Rams gave him the old FU, and I'm going to be honest, people, you want to have that discussion real quick?
No, I don't want to have the discussion about Jared Goff. Because Jared Goff, I've told you, he's an above average quarterback. I'll put him in Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins. I'll put at the same level.
No, I'll take.
Take Kirk Cousins all day. I agree with you, but my point is, when you're looking at tiers of quarterback, like Kirk Cousins is a high tier 2, and Jared Goff's probably a mid tier 2. Like
I would have them both high tier 2s.
Okay, so because Kirk Cousins is on the cusp of like a top 10
Yeah,
quarterback.
speaking of tiers, we should do a tier list one day.
Maybe one day. A playable?
A playable. Current.
Maybe we'll do that.
Current
We'll do that coming up to the
32
playoffs. We'll do that coming up to the playoffs.
Current 32.
Tier 1,
list.
tier 2, tier 3, tier 4.
Yeah. I like that.
You remember our rankings?
Yeah.
Okay. We had like Hall of Famers. We had starter. We had backup. And then we had bust.
So I love that the Rams won the Super Bowl, but personally I think Jared Goff, I like the trade better for the Lions.
All right. Well, how are we feeling about Desmond Ridder this week? Is it Heineke?
Desmond Ritter's done. I think they start Taylor Heineke because Arthur Smith has already come out and said that he's not committed to naming a starting quarterback, which shows me that he has no faith, I don't think, anymore in Desmond Ridder. And Desmond Ridder is what I thought he was, and he is a below average quarterback that makes bad decisions and can't make big plays when it matters, and he turns the ball over too often. And Taylor Heineke is a solid spot starter for a team that needs
He's a great backup.
wins.
Taylor Heineke is a great backup. Taylor the Heart Heineke is what we call him.
And he was with Washington.
Tennessee. Will Levis looked like the best
Mayo
quarterback in the draft coming out in that game.
I completely agree. Against the top second.
Now, I would argue that he just threw it up to one of the most premier wide receivers to ever play the game, and he just gave it to him.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Maybe this is what Traylon Burks needs too. Maybe he, gives him a little kick in the ass.
Maybe, because I'll tell you right now, Westbrook Akine looked good in that game too.
Yeah.
So, Will Levis, kudos to the kid. We had him as our 4th, 5th quarterback coming out of this draft.
I did 100%. I did. I didn't like him. I think he.
Well, we liked him, but not to the tier of C.J. Stroud or you liked Clayton Tune. I think a little better than him. But I still think you might have had
Aiden O'Connell. I think ahead of
Aiden O'Connell. I think you guys had him.
And I had a Hendon Hooker, but yeah. So
Hendon Hooker we had higher, but Hendon Hooker's not going to play, so we won't see what Hendon Hooker does until Jared Goff goes,
which is
so
2 years from now.
At least 2 years, right? So we won't even know what's going on with Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, so with obviously Will Levis. My biggest issue with Will Levis is, he's got great deep ball accuracy. My issue is the short. Actually,
I don't think he's
field.
accurate deep at all. I think he
field.
just slung it.
I think my issue is the shorter field is this decision making, because when I watched him in college, he had a lot of issues decision making.
But I think that looked good.
Oh, it was.
Because that was
a good confidence booster for him.
Dude, that was actually the one thing that he was capable of doing, was making the decision.
But did you see the way
it was all D-Hop? It was all D-Hop.
Did you see the way he came in?
No, what do you mean?
They were chanting for Will Levis. He comes in, they score on that very play that he comes in at. After,
that's awesome.
After taking over from Malik Willis.
That's awesome.
So the Malik
Willis is a bust, and we've been saying this for a minute.
I got blackballed for having that kid so low in the draft a couple of years back.
You said it twice. Caught black-handed.
Excuse me?
All right. So I don't want to hype too much on the Will Levis thing. Kudos to him. He won his first game out. He threw 4 touchdowns. Phenomenal game for Will Levis for a rookie debut. I loved it. I thought it was great to see Powder go out there and throw that many touchdowns.
Do you want to do some waiver wire pickups maybe?
That just went right over your head, huh? The Powder reference? Yeah. You've never seen the movie Powder?
Oh, is that the one with Johnny Depp?
I don't remember. Powder's like an all albino kid.
Oh, no. I was thinking about cocaine.
No. Yeah, no, it's an all albino kid. You should watch the movie Powder. But that's why I said Will Levis. Powder went out there and threw 4 touchdowns.
I mean, he likes mayo, so it mixes.
Well, no. So there's another thing we gotta get into. The New York Giants. Danny Dimes, right? He's still out, right?
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor now is out. He went to the hospital with a broken rib.
Did you see how many passing yards they had?
Like maybe 5. I think it was 10 on the day.
8.
I don't know. It was disgusting. They signed a quarterback. I can't remember his name.
Vinny Testaverde?
No, they just signed a quarterback that was... Is that news? Wrong button. Wrong button.
Great cash, homie.
Yeah, might want to look that up, who the Giants just signed, so this way we know who's going to be starting this week.
Something starting.
It's DeVito. Timmy DeVito? Tommy DeVito, I think.
That sounds just like a generic quarterback name.
Daniel Jones Jr.? Yeah, it's Tommy DeVito, I think. Might be Timmy DeVito for some reason, I'm thinking.
Giants promote Tommy DeVito.
It is Tommy DeVito. Okay, so Tommy DeVito is now the backup or the starter in this situation.
They signed Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley still plays? That dude's old. He's like 32.
I don't know.
Not saying that's old but for football.
And then there's another couple conversations we have to have.
He's 33.
Green Bay. What is Green Bay doing in this situation since they just traded a cornerback and they have struggled winning games or even putting an offense on the field? I think they scored like 2 touchdowns in 4 games offensively.
I'm going to take this one on the chin. I was high on Jordan Love, obviously, coming into this year. I think the experiment for Jordan Love is done. They don't. You signed him to a 1-year deal. You got what you have invested in him out of him. I think they would be the team to go after a quarterback mid to late in the first round. I think you can just.
They have great wide receivers. That's not the argument, right?
With Love, so you may take this will be maybe they take a quarterback in the second round again.
I think there's 5 quarterbacks coming out of this draft that are capable to go in and start, right? Like
100%. Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and
is it the kid out? No, those are rookies. Wow, you named them so fast.
Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix.
Who's Notre Dame?
Michael Penix.
Is it Notre Dame?
Oh, Sam Hartman.
Is that his name?
80s Camaro T-top guy. Sam Hartman, yeah. Sam Hartman is literally Gardner Minshew. I'm sorry.
You literally just referenced Gardner Minshew, so I didn't know what to say. It might not be Sam Hartman, but I know there's 5 guys coming out of this draft that are capable of starting day one, and this is a way better quarterback draft than last year. Oh, I forgot to say, congrats to Bryce Young. Looks solid. Looks solid against one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, and C.J. Stroud struggled a little bit, but that was a good game for Bryce Young. As much as I've hated on Bryce Young, he looked good and he looked solid. And you know what? That was a great win for that organization in general because now every team in the NFL has won a game.
Do it.
Wrong one again.
I know I did.
You really we gotta label these buttons better for you, man. I can't read. But yeah, no. So my thing with Bryce Young, my thing with Bryce Young is like, I saw what he did in this game, and he's been slowly doing this every game. It's not going to be sustainable. But what happened was the defensive line ended up splitting in the middle, and he took a step up into the pocket, and he had a clear lane, which was our argument from day one, that he's not going to be able to see over these linemen. But every time he has a clear lane in front of him, dude makes solid throws.
Yeah, he like I said, he is a great thrower of the football when he has the opportunity to throw it.
So he either he needs 6'10" receivers, or he needs a shorter line.
DK Metcalf, you need to go to the Panthers. You need to.
You know what? I would not be opposed to that.
They're not going to. If they're going to give it to any quarterback, it would have been Tyler Lockett.
With Jake Bobo, you don't think that DK could go? Tyler Lockett becomes a route runner, and then you have JSN. DK's going to cost you money next year.
DK will cost you money, and JSN has been just very good.
And Jake Bobo stepped up, and they're both rookies. They're both rookies.
Jake Bobo and Puka Nacua both stepped up big.
Jake Bobo's like 25. There's a reason he was undrafted.
Yeah, I think where did he go to college?
I don't remember. But
Buffalo.
I think it was a nice school.
He probably a kid that went to
might have been
UCLA.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Duke, then UCLA. He looks like he played for UCLA.
That's so. It's
not racist.
California.
He's white.
No, that's 100. Is that Justin Herbert?
That's Jake Bobo.
That's Justin Herbert.
He looks like he went to college.
That's Justin Herbert.
No.
Is that Justin Herbert's brother?
It might be. Jake Bobo. Just look at.
Dude,
Hold on.
Hold on here. You can't get it close enough. Here, actually go to that one. Go to KJ's. There you go. That looks like Justin Herbert. That looks like Justin Herbert.
For a team in California.
I'm not gonna lie. That looked like Justin Herbert coming out of the draft. The only difference between him and Justin Herbert, he has clear skin. Justin Herbert,
Justin Herbert looked like he had pizza face.
That bro, man, I felt so bad for him. There was so much beauty behind that disgustingness. I feel so bad for him. But you know what? Still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Easily a top 10 guy. Righty then. That's a dick move. So I just want to bring all those points up to you guys. Deontay Johnson's bounced back as a wide receiver 1. He's looked solid. He's getting the targets.
But he's been injured for some parts of the game in the last 2 games.
He's still getting like 10 targets.
Yeah,
though,
yeah, 100%. He is if he is still out on waiver wires, you better go pick him up. I'd go pick up Jake Bobo. Obviously, JSN, if he's out there, I'd go pick him up.
If you're in a dynasty league and Rashid Shaheed is still on waivers, he should be on your roster.
He is only 5 points behind Chris Olave, and they both have played the same number of games.
Yeah.
Which is pretty scary considering the year that Olave had last year.
Rashid Shaheed is Gabe Davis Jr. He's going to get 4 catches.
That is the perfect comp. You could not have a comp closer.
I mean, Gabe Davis had 3 receptions for 200 yards in a game. Rashid Shaheed just had 3 receptions for 153 yards and a touchdown.
He's a big chunk guy. He gets you those big chunk yardage.
Guys had 23 receptions this year. 6 of those receptions have all been for 40-plus yards.
And I think he has 4 touchdowns.
So, I believe that. That sounds about right. That sounds right. So, if you have bonuses for 40-plus, there's a chance that he's at 1 in 4 receptions. He's going to have a 40-plus yard reception. Derek Carr does target him way downfield. 4 touchdowns.
This is his second year.
Yeah, he came in the league same year as Olave.
Sorry, 3 touchdowns.
He's an undrafted free agent, same as Jake Bobo.
23 receptions, 479 yards, averaging 20.8 yards per
Which
catch.
is the highest in the league.
It is. And 3 touchdowns.
All right. Okay, so waivers. You said you want to talk waivers. If Leonard Fournette's out there, you got to pick him up at this point.
You got to pick up Lenny. Obviously, Rashid.
If you need a running back, you definitely should pick up Lenny.
Rashid Shaheed, you have to pick up. I would have Jake Bobo as another guy, like we said that you would.
Jake Bobo, I'm still on the fence with because again, I've been saying this all year. The Seattle Seahawks run 3 tight end sets a lot.
Yes.
And it doesn't give a lot of opportunity to Jake Bobo, whereas Shaheed's on the field a lot. He just only gets deep targets every so often. So, that's the difference.
I get that. And then Demario Douglas, a guy for the Patriots, would be another guy I would, go out and target.
Especially since the Kendrick Bourne injury. That's a great point. Demario Douglas is a rookie this year.
Taysom Hill.
Again, I've picked up Taysom Hill twice this year and dropped him twice this year. But that being said,
Dalton Kincaid,
Taysom Hill is a cheater and a flex in your tight end position. The gentleman is literally their offense in the red zone. So when they get in the red zone, it's Taysom Hill is the offense.
Yeah. And then Gus Edwards I would pick up.
Gus Edwards should not be on a waiver wire, but if he is, that's insane. Gus Edwards is RB1 for the Ravens. And for anybody that's not putting in Gus Edwards when they're playing teams like the Arizona Cardinals or teams that, technically Detroit Lions, because they went up fast and all they did was run the ball. It was Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. Justice Hill's another one who might be on a waiver wire who I would recommend probably picking up because he's going to get the touches.
Jaden Reed.
How is Jaden Reed looking?
So Jaden Reed and
Josh Downs should have been picked up 2 weeks ago because he's getting around 8 to 10 targets a game. So Josh Down and Michael Pittman are stardoms.
So
hands down, almost a week in and week out.
Jaden Reed is like another Rashid Shaheed kind of guy. He's 20 receptions, 314 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he's averaging 15.7 yards per catch. So he's getting those big chunk yardages.
So he's probably on a week like this week where there's 6 bye weeks. Is probably a good stardom, huh?
He could be a good flex spot, and they're going up against the Rams, who looked awful against Dallas. That secondary looked bad.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
just going to be I think Dallas is going to stomp them out, to be honest, especially if they have. I don't remember who their quarterback is that's coming back in.
I would also, obviously, if he's out there, he's no longer on the IR, would be Kyler. I would go and get him. He is most likely going to be back next week. And then obviously if Aaron Rodgers is out there, the Jets came out and said, we expect Aaron to be back sometime this year. I said week 10.
We came together on week 11. You said week 12. I said week 10. And we came together on week 11.
So we think he'll be back week 11. I like that. I'd go pick him up. Obviously, even if you need a quarterback, I'd go pick him up. He could be a good replacement later in the year because the Jets right now are not in a bad spot in that division. I think they're second in the division.
I'm trying to figure out. I can't remember the Rams quarterback.
Third. I'm sorry. The Jets are third in that division.
Jets are. Well, it's because it's Miami. It's Miami and Buffalo.
They're 1 win behind.
But Jets are solidly in the wild card hunt right now.
Oh, 100%.
Solidly. So Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the backup
A
quarterback.
crazy division right now
Oh, Brett Ripien is the backup quarterback.
is the NFC West.
Brett Ripien is the backup quarterback to Stafford. So if you need a guy that's going to
Brett
flex,
Ripien.
might be Ripien, just because he has Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So, hey, is whatchamacallit coming back this week?
Who?
Their running back,
Dave Montgomery. I'm sorry. Who'd you say?
Kyron Williams. Is he coming back
I
this
think
week?
he has one more week. And honestly, I don't know if they bring him back fully because Darren Waller has been good.
Darren Waller.
Or not Darren Waller. I'm sorry.
Darrell
Darnell Henderson.
It might be Darnell.
Darnell.
I thought it was Daryl Henderson.
Darryl. It is Darryl.
But that's funny that you said that.
I'm looking at a whole bunch of players that are injured. I forgot to
There
talk
it
about
is.
the Darnell
Kyron Williams.
or the.
Okay,
Darren
no,
Waller
I think he's
injury.
still on the IR. He went to the IR week 7, so 8, 9, 10. So he'll be back off the IR on after their bye week 10.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like a Daryl Williams for the next 3 weeks.
He's
He looked
solid.
good.
He's
They
solid.
should have never gotten rid of him, to be honest.
No.
He should have been their backup. It should have been Cam Akers, Kyron Williams, Daryl Henderson. That's
Yeah.
what we said. Williams, Daryl Henderson.
Yes, Darryl.
That's why we kept screwing it up.
Yeah. Also, I'd go pick up, Akers didn't look bad. He had the touchdown. They look like they're using him a little bit more. I would go pick him up depending on what the depth is and if you need some pieces. I picked up Lenny. I also have Henderson.
I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't be opposed to picking up DPJ right now, and kind of holster if you have the ability to holster him because I think DPJ 2 weeks with the Lions. I think DPJ is gonna pop off.
So there's two guys that I've holstered all year, and now people are interested. Is Marquise Brown and Javonte Williams. And I was trying to get rid of Javonte Williams early in the year.
You
and
called that, by the way.
Nobody wanted him. Oh, Javonte?
Yeah, you called that on Sunday. You said it was going to be a Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I said it's taken some time for him to fully come back from that injury. An ACL injury is not easy to come back from for any position, let alone a running back. You just need to start getting reps and just feeling comfortable. Loosen your legs up, get comfortable. You're not super worried about being re-injured. That's what a lot of these guys don't realize is for fantasy purposes is a lot of these guys coming back from an ACL injury or soft tissue injury, it's all mentality. A lot of them are scared, like, what if I make this cut and I get re-injured? Then I have to go through it all. You see that with J.K. Dobbins. It's a living nightmare for a guy. It really is. So that's where a lot of this is. It's all mentality until you get comfortable in your own skin again, running the football or passing or catching. So that's why, I held on him. Now all of a sudden people want him. It's hilarious. Marquise Brown's value is going to skyrocket with the return of Kyler Murray imminently coming in the next few weeks. I would go out and get him. You may be able to get him for cheap if you don't know, if a guy doesn't know much about, what Murray did. Maybe a rookie fantasy player that you may be able to swindle.
Swindle.
Do it.
Who are you going to get as a rookie that you're going to swindle?
No, I'm saying a rookie fantasy player that maybe doesn't have a whole lot of experience playing fantasy.
You mean like a captain of their team?
Like,
I got you.
Yeah. So
I got you.
I mean, again, I would not sell either of them unless you're getting decent return. Javonte has ran it, I believe, 18 and 23 times in the last 2 weeks. I also would still stash Zach Moss because he is still producing, even with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I think they're going to utilize both those guys with the injury to Anthony Richardson just to take some of that strain off Jonathan Taylor since they don't have a star quarterback behind center. They're going to utilize both those guys because they have Zach Moss, who they're paying next to nothing, who they can, sucks to say, beat up on a little bit this year and save JT for next year. It's kind of what Cincinnati did with Joe Mixon after the Joe Burrow injury where he blew up his knee. So you're going to, I think obviously JT's going to get his. JT's good, I want to say, for 12 to 18 a week or more. He can have those weeks, but I don't think he's going to be running the ball 25 to 30 times a game like he was a couple years back just because of the strain it may take on him with his injury. And that's, like I said, that's another guy who's coming back from a supposed injury that, it might be mental. What do you think for the Zach Moss JT injury or JT dual backfield?
Here's my thing.
60-40.
I think it's 60-40, but the issue is they're feeding the hot hand, and the hot hand to them is who scores the touchdown. But the problem with who scores the touchdown is who they put in to score the touchdown.
Yeah, it's all.
So it was kind of frustrating because I was watching that game, and you see this is the same thing with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. You see Jonathan Taylor come in, dude. Jonathan Taylor pops off for 45 to 50 yards on the Browns in the first drive. Then they put Zach Moss in the final 10 yards. And then they just lean on Zach Moss the rest of the game. Yep. So I was like, this makes zero sense. It made zero sense because Jonathan Taylor, yards per carry, was killing it at the beginning. Now, Zach Moss had that great breakaway run for 40 yards, which made it look like he carried 6.6 yards per carry, but it was incorrect. Yeah, if you take that away, Zach Moss was going negative on a couple plays.
Yeah, and it's all about running down that defensive line.
And then
so that's where that
same argument with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker, first drive, that whole drive was Kenneth Walker until they got in the red zone. And then no, it wasn't Zach. They passed the ball because they're weird. And then after that drive, they went to Charbonnet. And then Charbonnet didn't have a lot of positive gains. And they were struggling getting any offensive production. So they never leaned back on Kenneth Walker. And then all of a sudden, Charbonnet had a great breakaway for about 22 yards, and now his yards per carry look great. Yeah, but in reality, Kenneth Walker was the better running back in the game, except for the one big play where it was broke down in tackles. To me, it's weird. I think both those teams are successful. I think when it comes to what happens, it's the same thing with the Detroit Lions. I think it's preserving your running back until somebody goes down, and then you have another guy. So like the David Montgomery argument, like everybody was like, why is Jameer running? Why is Jameer on the bench? Why?
We said it was going to be about week 8
I said it was about reserving him because if Montgomery goes down, which is an inevitable, because Montgomery is very weak. And granted, he runs like a bull too, so that doesn't help. It's going to just increase his risk of injury. Yeah, re-injury now risk. You look at Jameer, and everybody's like, Jameer looks like an elite back. Well, he looks like an elite back because, one, he is. It's not an argument.
And he's fresh.
He's DeAndre Swift coming into the league in my mind.
I think he has more upside than Swift.
I think he's quicker at the cut. I would agree with that.
He's a better one cut back that can find the hole faster.
I would agree with that. But it has so much consistency is what I saw in Swift when he went to the Lions, and then the Lions just changed their whole trajectory on what they were going to do with Swift. So it has a lot of the same remedies with the Colts as I see in Seattle. Both those teams are run very similar. It's about the quarterbacks get to do what they want to do. They're both gutsy quarterbacks, but that game runs through the run game, and then they move from there. If the Colts win their division, which it's possible.
Yeah, I think the Jags are 6-2.
It's possible though. Jacksonville is on a hot streak. Very rarely do teams go 5-0 and not just continue to pop off.
We saw it last year at the end.
Yeah, but they were what? They started like 4-6 or something.
This will be the real test for next week. Will be the real test.
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville has a couple upcoming games.
After the bye, they go up against the Niners at home. Jacksonville plays the Niners.
And they might have Debo back too. Because you said after the bye, week 11, Debo's supposed to be back.
Oh, he is back. They said he will be back after the bye, but they wouldn't put him on the IR because they would have had to have taken an extra week. So that's why, the Niners are smart with the way they do things. Some teams need to take note. They're like, all right, well, we'll sit him.
Holy cow!
He won't take up a. He obviously.
Here's a bet I'll take this week. Here's a bet I'll take this week.
We'll have him back a week early.
Atlanta's favored by 4.5
against
Minnesota. I don't care who's quarterback in Minnesota.
That's going to be.
You have some of the best receivers and tight ends in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't care who is quarterback in Minnesota. I do not like Atlanta favored.
Also,
now it is in Atlanta, so that's probably why.
Updates for JJ is he will be back after the week against Atlanta. They did say.
So week 10.
And everybody's like, well, JJ's never going to play again for this year now.
It's a hamstring injury.
They were saying that before the Kirk injury. Even after the Kirk injury, it was just being said louder.
I was so... First things first.
Star?
First things first.
Wide receiver.
All you people out there who think that Minnesota's going to move on from JJ and Kirk, especially in the same year, you're insane.
Uh-oh, retard alert.
You're insane. It makes no sense. Kirk is going to be there. They'll sign another 3-year deal with Kirk. It's probably going to be Jimmy Garoppolo money.
It'll be like
it's not going to be.
It's going to be like 22 to 25 million, I think, as well.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo made good money.
Yeah, he's making, I think, 30 a year.
I think it was like 80 million in 3 years. So like, I think Kirk Cousins is worth that for 3 years at 35.
And
that you push him to 38, 39.
And guess what? Kirk is smart enough to realize that, you know what? I'll take less so JJ can make money and stay here, because guess what? He's going to catapult myself in my career even far.
And you know what's great? You signed Hawk. Hawk signed.
You got Addy.
KJ can go bye-bye, and you have Addy and JJ. You don't need KJ at that point.
Addison, I'm going to say this very loosely. Addison is JJ very, very light to a point. He's JJ light.
Is it too soon to compare Addison to Thielen?
No.
I think when you're looking at his ability to catch the ball, Addison brings in a lot.
I think what everybody always goes back to the Diggs, Thielen, JJ is Diggs, but JJ is much better than Diggs.
No. I disagree with that.
I think with the Vikings, JJ's obviously.
I think if you have, first things first, if you didn't have Stefanski with Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. So, 100% because they did not pass the ball. They ran the ball down their throats with Dalvin Cook.
Now, route running wise, Stephon Diggs is way better than JJ.
100%. But JJ's
a better 50-50 guy.
He's your yak guy. He has big play probability.
Yeah, I mean, but my biggest thing is he's a 50-50 guy. So you're gonna throw a ball up to JJ, is gonna catch it. It's not gonna matter.
I like this discussion.
But when it comes to Stephon Diggs, I'm not gonna we're talking top fives, right? Like Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, JJ, those guys are top fives.
Let's do top fives then.
I mean, I don't even know if I want to get into that conversation because there is just so many receivers right now who are top. Like CeeDee's looking like top five for once.
Top five right now.
Thielen's top five because of possessions.
Jamar Chase is getting there. He is. If you look, he's
my issue with Jamar Chase is Joe Burrow's throwing under 5 yards per reception.
That's because the offensive line. Their offensive line is bad, so he's got to get rid of the ball fast. So that's where he's losing a lot of those. You're literally,
if I'm Jamar, I'm getting 12 to 14 receptions for 8 to 10 yards of reception.
So he's.
So I don't even know if the yak's there.
He's getting the yardage that T. Higgins would got last year.
Yeah, I just don't even know if the yak's there.
Oh, this is the third year of them rebuilding this offensive line, and it's bad. So my question is when is Zach Taylor going to be held accountable for this offensive line?
When is whatchamacallit, who they signed from the Kansas City Chiefs, going to be held accountable? They took the left tackle from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Buccaneers.
No.
They took a Ryan.
No.
They took a kid from.
They took the left tackle from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Orlando Brown Jr.
There you go. That is.
Well, they did sign a guy from the Buccaneers too.
It might have been a guard. They did not take the left tackle from. Oh, actually, I think that's the right tackle. But yeah, they did not take. Oh God, I got to look into Cody Mauch.
The Viking King.
Yeah, he's in Tampa Bay. He was playing
Alex
right tackle.
Kappa, guard. Yep, and Orlando Brown Jr. is offensive tackle. Hold on, Cody Mauch. He plays for the Patriots, right?
No, he's a Tampa Bay Buck.
I thought he was. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Let me look at his stats. Hold on.
I'm just kind of curious because Mauch was one of my favorite guys. We can.
I hate doing this other show, but
I know we could do this another day. We can look into some of these our prospects another day. I got nothing else today. I knew this was going to be a short show because we're going to have a Thursday show before the game.
It's an hour show. We're an hour.
Usually my God!
I know we
rambled today.
But
though.
Guess what? It was good conversation. There really wasn't a dead moment. I mean, chat's not there, but that's okay. We got 5 people watching.
Woo! Thanks, me and my wife.
And my wife.
That's 3 right
and
there.
Who else wants to say hello? Please.
That's funny. But so
I know who
Thursday is Tennessee Pittsburgh. This is in Pittsburgh. They get another home game. Tennessee is starting Will Levis this week.
And Pickett is supposed to start.
I'll
take just real quick. I'm just going to say I'm going to take Tennessee.
Pittsburgh's given 2.5.
I'm going to take those
points.
So
it looks like...
Give me those points. I'll take the straight bet. I'll take that line. Give me Tennessee with a straight bet. They're probably plus 135. I'll take it.
Plus 135.
If I'm right, I just
128.
I'm such a detention.
Plus 128.
And let me
Oh,
guess,
you know what?
hold on.
As I click on it, the line moved. It's
Over
3.
under is probably 38.5.
36 and a half. You do have issues, though. All right.
Thank you.
And then as everybody should remember this week, there is a game. If you didn't see the intro to the show, there is a game in Germany this week. Kansas City will be taking on the Miami Dolphins this week. Keep that in mind for all you guys. It's 9:30 a.m. It's overseas.
I love these early games. I love them. I wish we had more. I wish we had one a week because it's so fun.
And as always, we will have our show here Thursday before the game.
Yep.
And then we will also be here Sunday, bright and early. We're going to try to go live at 7:30 just so we can get off before the games get kicked off.
Yep.
Because we like to be degenerates and gamble. That being said, that is all I have for this wonderful Halloween trade deadline.
Yep. Be safe. Check your kids' candy, and stay warm.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Later.